For thousands of years, our ancestors lived as hunter-gatherers. Conflict existed, but it was limited. Skirmishes over hunting grounds, disputes resolved through posturing or brief violence. Then came agriculture, and with it, something unprecedented in human history: war. This wasn't just fighting. This was organized, large-scale violence with a new purpose. The Neolithic Revolution gave humanity farms, villages, and stored grain. It also gave us the first things worth killing for on a massive scale, and the first things impossible to walk away from. Imagine the moment it began. For generations, a family tilled the same plot by the river. They cleared stones, built a small hut, watched their wheat grow. This land wasn't just where they lived, it was their future, their children's inheritance. Then a rival family from upstream claimed the same fertile bend. A boundary stone was moved in the night. An argument turned into a shoving match. A digging stick became a club. The first blood was spilled not for honor or game, but for dirt. Property was born, and with it, a new reason for murder. With property came the need to protect it. The temporary camps of hunters were replaced by fortified villages. Communities that once moved with the seasons now dug in, literally. They surrounded their homes with wooden palisades, dug defensive trenches lined with sharpened stakes, and built watchtowers on hills. For the first time, human settlements were designed not just for living, but for defending. The landscape of peace became a landscape of potential siege. The tools of life were reforged into instruments of death. The flint sickle that harvested wheat was sharpened into a slashing blade. The grinding stone became a mace head. The humble digging stick evolved into a spear. Farmers became soldiers in their own fields, learning to fight not for meat, but for the land that grew their grain. They crafted the first shields from wood and hide, and discovered that poison on an arrow tip could drop a stronger enemy. Agriculture didn't just feed larger populations, it armed them. Warfare became calculated. Raiders learned to strike at night, using darkness and confusion. They didn't just seek to kill warriors, they aimed to cripple the enemy's ability to survive. The ultimate target was the granary. Burning a season's harvest was more devastating than killing a dozen men. It condemned an entire village to starvation or submission. They stole livestock, the walking wealth of the Neolithic world, and took captives, who became either slaves for labor or sacrifices to the war gods. Defense evolved into a brutal science. Lookouts lit signal fires at the first sign of raiders. Women and children were herded into the stoutest building, often the grain store itself, now a fortress within a fortress. From the palisade walls, defenders hurled not just spears, but stones, boiling water, and burning pitch. They built hidden tunnels for surprise counterattacks, turning their village into a lethal trap. Violence was ritualized, sanctified. Before battle, warriors painted their faces with ochre and ash, the red of blood, the black of death. They performed frenzied dances, chanting to summon courage and fury. Shamans sacrificed animals, reading entrails for omens. Warriors wore trophies from past kills, a necklace of enemy teeth, a scalp on a belt. They swore oaths on shared weapons, binding themselves into a brotherhood of blood. War was no longer a chaotic brawl. It was a sacred, terrible ceremony. The aftermath was systematized horror. Victorious warriors moved methodically across the battlefield, finishing off the wounded with stone clubs. Prisoners were tied and dragged away, a new labor force, or offerings for the victory feast. The spoils were divided with a crude fairness, so many goats per family, so many baskets of grain per warrior. The ultimate trophy was the enemy's head, taken as proof of valor and a warning to others. For their own fallen, they held solemn burials, interring them with their weapons, ensuring they'd fight again in the next world. This new reality reshaped society itself. Alliances formed between villages against common foes, sealed by the exchange of hostages or marriages between chieftains' children, peace bought with human bonds. These treaties were fragile, often broken by betrayal in the dead of night. From this chaos emerged a new figure, the war chief. No longer just the wisest elder, but the most fearsome fighter, the cunning strategist. Around him gathered the first professional warriors, men who traded plows for spears full-time. Rules emerged from the carnage, the first laws of war. Perhaps you couldn't attack during the harvest moon. Perhaps women and children were to be spared if they took refuge in the temple mound. These were not codes of